We all know Lu Shu's role was to pass down the Master's Keyblade from person to person so he could see into the future using his gazing eye, as they called it, that he placed into his Keyblade, which was how the Book of Prophecies was able to be created in the first place. It told events of the future that led all the way up to the Keyblade War and what happened afterwards. But there is something else. The Master's gazing eye appears in many more than just his own Keyblade. It appears in numerous different Keyblades, ranging from Riku's Way to Dawn, Vanitas' Void Gear, Terra's Chaos Ripper, and even some of the foreteller's own keychains. But why? How can he have passed his gazing eye onto so many different blades to other wielders that are so different from each other? Or realistically, do they have that big of a difference from each other to where they wouldn't be able to have it? Here's what I think. I believe that the gazing eye is able to do much more than just transmit sight of the future back to the Master of Masters in his present time. What I mean by that is, what if the Master of Masters gazing eye was just a power of his, say an ability, its purpose being for more than one thing. One, of course, an ability of spreading his vision to other Keyblades that the Master had, a sort of heavy influence over them by coming into both direct and indirect contact with them, or the no-name Keyblade. 2, being able to see into the future time that the Keyblade is in, passing it down so the blade isn't lost, forgotten, or destroyed. So pretty much, if you didn't quite catch that, the gazing eye has the ability to both spread itself onto other Keyblade and keychains that the no-name Keyblade was around, or the Master of Masters has some sort of direct and indirect influence over, so he can see into the future with the other eyes as well as the original. And that brings it to the second ability, to where that data or that vision that he sees using that gazing eye transmit back to him in his own present time. So as it gets passed down, he has the foreknowledge of the future. So if it had this ability, or these abilities, the main driving force behind his sight into the future would be through Lu Shu's actions from his role of passing the blade down. But he would also be able to gain more details and accuracy by being able to see from the perspective of the foretellers, Lu Shu, Vanitas, Terra, and even Riku, many important figures in this series. Because the fact of the matter is, if his eye is in the blade, then he can see that future. That's how he knows so much and knows how the state of the worlds will end up, where exactly to hide himself to prevent discovery from other wielders even in the far future. This would allow him to further prove himself to his apprentices, while also being able to make plans for his goals without discovery or intervention. What if, just like a person's heart can be split into other vessels, that's what this power of leeching basically was. It can go onto multiple keys. A person's power can be split upon multiple keys. So when he did it to the no-name, it happened to many other keys tied both to the darkness and a big holder of the no-name Keyblade, Xehanort. Notice how all the blades I mentioned before were used by people that had both ties to the darkness as well as Xehanort, or a form of Xehanort who the no-name Keyblade was passed to from Lu Shu. Vanitas is Ventus's dark half, and just like Ventus was a pupil of Xehanort for a period of time, so was Vanitas. Except Vanitas never got switched to Eraqus for obvious reasons, so Vanitas was heavily influenced by both the no-name and Xehanort himself. Second being Terra, who has so much association with Xehanort and the darkness. He obtained the Chaos Ripper chain, making the Chaos Ripper Keyblade, which also held the gazing eye inside of it. He had no such blade until Xehanort's influence was the most heavy upon him. So what if the Master of Masters ability was able to have his influence leech onto other wielders of darkness mainly? Because you see no other really wielders of light besides the foretellers. But as you can see, the foretellers themselves all had bits of darkness in them that causes the whole divide between everybody. And the next case being Riku, who in his case had 2 different blades that held the gazing eye, the Way to Dawn Keyblade as well as the Soul Eater. This was all just a way for him to be able to see the future, not just from one Keyblade, but from numerous points of view. So he didn't just have to rely on just one individual, and the whole purpose of passing it down is so the Keyblade will never be lost, destroyed, and will continuously carry out the mission as long as it's seen fit. And the longer it's passed on, the more into the future the Master of Masters can foretell, and that is why he would emphasize that it has to be passed down from person to person so he can create the Book of Prophecies and whatever else he's realistically planning. But the more you think about it, the more you realize that if he knew the future, if he could see into the future of who the Keyblade was passed down onto, we know that he knows where where he can go, at what time, what planets that these other wielders generally go to, and how to interact with them if he wanted to. Like in the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind trailer, we saw the Master of Masters come into contact with young Master Xehanort, so we know that he himself knew how to find young Master Xehanort. And I just have the feeling that there's so much more to the Master of Masters influence that he really had that we just haven't seen yet. And back onto the earlier topic of how and who exactly this gazing eye can leech onto, I do also think it is more people he has such heavy influence over, because although the foretellers themselves were warriors of light, they all had bits of darkness in them as well. And the Master of Masters also personally was their not only teacher, but he was their Keyblade master. So it makes sense even for the best of the best ones like Envy and Era to have a gazing eye in their keychain just along with the rest of the foretellers, even Ava. And one thing I do think is very important to note is that, remember, although Riku not evil anymore, he was still a user of the darkness just for good intentions. So that is why in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, he was able to have the End of Pain Keyblade. But also, it wasn't just one that Riku was able to get, it was one that Sora was also to get. Now remember, Sora never had a Keyblade with this keychain ever before up until Dream Drop Distance, which was the game to where he was first being heavily influenced by the darkness by young Master Xehanort and was going to become a vessel for Xehanort. So coincidentally, is it really a coincidence? I don't think so. But really, I don't have that much more else to say. Sorry if this theory seems a little bit more kind of all over the place, but these are just the things that I was able to put together and sum up and just see if this is really it. Like I said, this is just a theory. Feel free to come up with your own thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I love to hear and discuss, and please feel free to comment below and encourage other people to discuss along with you. I love the discussion. Feel free, if you just think I'm flat out wrong, then just tell me I'm wrong and go ahead and explain why. I'll be happy to discuss and see all feedback in the comments below. All positive feedback is heavily encouraged. But if you did still enjoy the video, then make sure you support me by hitting the like button, checking out my previous videos, and subscribe so you can stay tuned for many more videos of all types to come. So I want to thank you all for watching. Check out my last Kingdom Hearts theory if you have not already, about Skull's location and Lushu's intention for her. So I want to thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.